episode number 2. Well, I guess that's 4. This is 2 of the. This is episode 2 of meeting our presenters. And today I am absolutely honored to hang out with Jenn Shields. Open Hearts Wellness is her company, and she is going to be with us presenting on Saturday, day number 2 of the conference, and so on. And Jenn, it's thank you so much for giving me some time today.
Oh, thanks for having me.
This is really cool. To get our viewers up to speed with who you are and what Open Hearts Wellness is, give us the quick who you are, the 411.
The 411. Well, Open Hearts is a wellness studio here in Brandon, Manitoba. We have a physical yoga studio, but we're bigger than that too. We're centered around holistic wellness, offering mindfulness, meditation, alternative healings, sort of under one umbrella. So we're just getting going. We just opened in November, so we're starting to branch out into bigger avenues and different things as well. So
what is your background and what made you? I mean, you said you just started this in November. What was the need to pull the trigger on it?
Well, my formal education was actually in physiotherapy, and I worked in the field for quite a few years before my family came along, and then I had a whole litter all at once. So I was fortunate to be able to make the choice to stay home with the kids. And actually, when I was working in public health care, I always felt a little bit disconnected, just working like strictly with physical health, and that I was only ever treating like part of what was going on. So it was I would say, it was a difficult decision, but still felt right to step away from that industry, stay home with the kids. And then I joined my husband in the real estate business for a few years while the boys were just getting into school. And now that they're a little bit bigger, it offered me some opportunity to jump a little bit deeper into what I was really passionate about, and helping people to, basically empowering others to step into their potential and their purpose, and to help provide and give tools to people to be able to do that.
We were talking before we started recording about how the wedding industry is so emotional. An example could be that family is you have to deal with moms and dads, and sometimes there's parents that are separated, or parents that are no longer with us because they've passed away, and all that sort of stuff. And you have all these different things, and everybody's quarreling, and this stuff isn't done, and the stresses are getting to people, and all that sort of stuff. Is in the presentation that you're going to be doing, are you going to be able to try and offer some advice on how we in the industry, because you're not specifically in the wedding industry, right?
No, I'm not. Yeah.
So are you going to be able to give some great tools to be able to help out the people sitting in those chairs?
Yeah, I mean, truthfully, I feel like anything service-based all operates from like the same principles, or you can use the same tool sets. If we look at business in general, or any type of role where you're offering service, I think that you can use the same tools. So the tools that I would use when I was in my physiotherapy practice, the tools I use in my real estate business, the tools I use in my wellness business are essentially the same, just maybe like the skill set and the demographic you're working with is a little bit different. So it definitely crosses over, but we'll definitely be talking about how we can approach our businesses a little bit more mindfully, and in that we're being a little bit more intentional, than the likelihood of us absorbing all of that stress and anxiety from the clients that we're working with is better. And actually, if we can maintain a little bit more calm amongst their chaos, that's often like one of the bigger services you can provide, depending on what your role is in the wedding industry, right? But it can be a very emotional time. So it's not going to help the circumstance for us to like absorb, or you as the wedding professionals to like absorb that stress and get reactive in that space. But it's more figuring out like, how can you stay like calm and cool and grounded, not absorb that stress, and help kind of guide people through what can be a really emotional time. a lot of us that are going to be in these service-based industries are in them because we care about other people, right? So it's sometimes figuring out, the biggest thing is actually finding the boundaries that work for us. So knowing that we can like actually care about others and care about how the wedding goes and everything that's happening, or the planning, the process, but without actually absorbing like that stress and anxiety of those that are around us, and knowing that those boundaries will actually help us to operate more from that place of strength than just getting into that like reactive space that would be like a little bit, I'm not going to call it more our weakness, but yeah, we're not our strongest when we're reacting, right?
Right. Yeah. I can't wait to see your presentation. I've got so many ideas of what needs to happen. I just have no idea how to do it. So I'm really looking forward to being in one of those seats and having you kind of guide us along. And
you know, that's so interesting, Brian. I think it is so often more simple than we like to give ourselves. Like we think everything needs to be complicated, and it actually doesn't. But for those that are working in like a higher stress type of industry, like we can absorb a certain amount of like stress and anxiety from others. But eventually we're going to reach kind of that point of burnout, and then it starts to cloud like our ability to do our job to our potential. So yeah, it's just going to be breaking down some like very simple, basic like tools, tricks, ideas that you can infuse into the way you operate your everyday business. And I know another big thing for a lot of people within the industry is that they'll be like a jack of all trades, right? Especially those working in a smaller center, that you're not going to be like just the florist or just the photographer or just the planner. You might also be like the decorator and the DJ and maybe officiating the wedding itself, right? Like so many different things. And so sometimes that can be challenging too when we're feeling pulled in all these directions. And how do we keep things like, I guess, organized enough in our minds so that we're not in that kind of caught in that crazy cycle, I'll call it.
to give us just a quick example, do you have a really entry level, somewhat easy sort of tip or method that you could give us right now to just kind of give a bit of a teaser of what someone can do?
I think the biggest thing, and probably where most people get caught up in the chaos essentially, is when they move from spaces that don't feel like real or authentic for them. So a big part of, especially in this day and age where we're you know, social media and we're watching what everyone else is doing and we're playing that comparison game, and then we'll start moving our businesses from places of like trying to keep up with so and so, or trying to, you know, mirror what other people are doing, instead of just moving from that space that feels real and good for us. And so when we actually feel confident and trust ourselves in what we're offering, then what we're putting out is going to be real. It's going to be authentic, and people are going to feel that, and that's naturally just going to kind of like attract that demographic that you're going to work with. But I think that's my simplest thing, is like just be you, figure out what it is for you, figure out your niche, and know that if you're in a space that you feel passionate about and you want to be there, like you don't need to do what everyone else is doing. Like figure out what's going to make you in that space. But I think like the stress and anxiety that we take on, even from worrying about what everyone else is doing, and like the idea of the competition or keeping up, or like it's just enough to like make us all crazy, right? We're like taught not to trust ourselves, and that's actually where it needs to be. Like you have gifts and talents, and they're awesome, and I have gifts and talents and they're awesome, and they're not the same. And that's actually what like makes us all like special and unique. And if we all actually just stepped into what our like shared our gifts with the world, like what would this world even look like, right?
Yeah.
So it's knowing that like it's when we start the comparison game, I think that gets, I mean, to be kind of that toxic space where I'm like, oh well, I'm better than so and so at this, instead of just being like, I'm really good at this, right?
Yeah.
And it's okay that I'm good at this, and I can trust myself that I'm good at this. And when we move from those spaces, and it's interesting when we watch, and obviously my beliefs are around like a lot of energy stuff, and like what we're putting out there is what's going to come back to us. But when we're in those spaces where we're worried about what other people are doing, and we're like afraid, it's fear, right? Like what we're giving our attention to is what we're going to attract more of. So if we can learn to just, we can, and to also celebrate others. And that's an interesting thing. And it's a really, like, I feel like the wedding industry here in Brandon is super cool and super unique because you guys are so collaborative, and that is really unheard of. And industries I've worked in, and like we see for the most part, it's like, well, if I'm good at this, then it means I have to be like better than you, because we both can't be good at this, right? When I think when we just recognize that there's like actually abundance everywhere, like there's fruit for all of us, right? So we don't need to focus on killing the competition. We just need to like focus on, and we don't need to focus on like the competition killing us either. We just need to focus on what's real and true for us and move from that space.
Give us a little idea of what people can expect at lunchtime.
Over the lunch hour, we're going to be taking a little bit of a break for some movement. So I find movement is a really useful tool to drop us out of our heads and a little bit more in our bodies. And then from there, from the movement, we'll move into some meditation. And I know meditation, mindfulness is like a big buzzword right now, and something that people are really interested in, but it's a thing that scares a lot of people because they don't really know where to start with it. So it's going to be just kind of a basic introduction to meditation and kind of what that means, and just hopefully showing what the pause can do. And it's going to be a busy weekend with lots of content and lots of stuff coming at you. So hopefully over the lunch hour, that little bit of pause and break where we can turn our brains off a little bit and just connect in with like our bodies and our breath will open up space to absorb that content from the afternoon a little bit more efficiently.
So a little bit for the body and a whole lot for the mind. What for those that are going to take advantage of it and are planning in advance of being part of the lunch hour activity, do you have any suggestions on what they should wear or what they can wear and what they can get away with?
Yeah, I would just say comfortable clothing. We will be moving a little bit, like some yoga type of stuff. If you have a mat or even like a blanket or something that you could bring to place on the floor to use, that would be great. But it would also be accessible. So we don't need to be in like full head to toe yoga clothing. But if you're in like comfortable clothing, if you're choosing to wear something for the conference that's a little bit more formal, ladies are wearing a dress or something, then just even bring some yoga pants with you and you can change quick and just be a little bit more comfortable.
Nice. It's gonna be so cool to have you a part of the conference. We're so excited to have you.
I cannot wait to be there, and thank you so much for having me and for having me today, Brian.
I can't wait to be in one of those seats and taking in your presentation on November 1st. Actually, it's November 2nd. You're on the Saturday in the morning. So if for anyone looking for details and tickets on all that sort of stuff, head to www.theccwc.net. All the info is there, including all the presenters and so on. Again, the Central Canadian Wedding Conference happening November 1st and 2nd at the Keystone Center here in Brandon.